there was more action in the final two laps than there was the whole entire race. It was just terrible. It's terrible for NASCAR when a single driver goes out and dominates the whole race. What's up, guys and girls? Thank you for tuning into the KEMMO Cup Series. Today, I am going to bring you my thoughts on the Quaker State 400 race weekend at Kentucky for the 2017 NASCAR season. Before we begin, please be advised that I do not own any images used in this video, and I am not associated with the organizations that do. With all that said, let's jump into my thoughts on the Quaker State 400 at Kentucky. So, we got to start off with my takeaways as always. First major takeaway, Martin Truex Jr. Great job to him on yet another win this season, his third. He's won at Kansas, Las Vegas, and now he gets to add Kentucky to that win list. And if you look, he's won in every scheme he's driven so far. So it's looking really good for all you 78 fans. So he is definitely my pick for the championship just because of all the stage wins he has, all the laps led, and all the wins. But nonetheless, congratulations to Martin Truex Jr. on his win in the Quaker State 400. Another thing, like I said, over 1,000 laps led, 13 stage wins. Are you kidding me? How? Just how? Martin Truex Jr. is the dominant driver anymore. He is definitely my choice for the championship, as I said. And one of the things that really bugs me about Martin Truex Jr. is when people say that he's an underfunded driver. If he was an underfunded driver, would he have led over 1,000 laps this season and have 13 stage wins? No. So he is definitely not an underfunded team. He is a major competitor of NASCAR and definitely going to be a champion pretty soon. So over 1,000 laps led. I can't wrap my head around that. That's unbelievable. He's the first driver this season to lead over 1,000 laps. He has the most stage wins of any driver with 13. The next driver that has the most is Kyle Busch with 4. So you can see that gap, 13 versus second place with 4 stage wins. So Martin Truex Jr. is truly dominating NASCAR anymore. Now it's time to rate the race weekend, the Quaker State 400. We're going to start off with the Goodyear tires. I'm going to give it a 0.5 out of 1. I thought the tires were okay, but one of the things that really bugs me is Goodyear, they never figure out repaves. It's a proven fact. Texas was terrible, and now we come to Kentucky, and let's face it, the tires weren't the best. Drivers are screaming for grip, and the tires just didn't have it. So 0.5 out of 1 on the Goodyear tires. Now we move on to stage racing. I'm going to give stage racing a 0.5 out of 1 for how it fit into this race. I like the added break of the cautions because it broke up the domination of Martin Truex Jr. That's what I hated about it. That's what took off the 0.5. I hate it when a single driver sits there and dominates it. I'm a huge Kyle Busch fan, but even when Kyle Busch dominates, it gets boring. It's the same driver leading every lap, and it gets really boring. You know, they say the most famous words in NASCAR are driver start your engines. Pretty soon with this stage racing, it's going to be for the time this season, stage winner, Martin Truex Jr. I mean, I just hate the domination factor, if you guys know what I mean there. Competitiveness of the racing, again, 0 out of 1. I hate the domination factor. It just creates a boring race. I mean, there was more action in the final 2 laps than there was the whole entire race. It was just terrible. It's terrible for NASCAR when a single driver goes out and dominates the whole race. It's just very, very boring. Cautions, 0.5 out of 1. There were a lot of cautions I fought for Kentucky. The one that really sort of ruined the race, I felt, overall was when Kurt Busch blew up the motor. That just, I'm sorry, it didn't ruin the race. It brought the race back together. Yeah, what am I saying? It helped the race more than anything else. Martin Truex Jr. was about to win by 15 seconds. So when that caution came out for Kurt Busch, I clapped because Martin Truex Jr., as much as I love the guy, he can't go out and dominate everything. So that caution by Kurt Busch, definitely, I really appreciated that there. Great job to Stewart Haas making those cars blow up. But 0.5 out of 1 on cautions because there were a couple more than I expected to have. Pit stops fast across the board all day. There were some penalties, and I want to touch on that. Denny Hamlin. How many times does he have to speed before he gets it knocked into his skull to look at the lights and not make them red? How many times does he have to speed? He got like his 17th speeding penalty, something like that. It was terrible. I mean, he needs to learn to slow it down. Nobody else is having this problem but him. So, other than that, pit stops are very fast all day long. A lot of strategy being played, and I really like that. Xfinity Series and Camping World Truck Series. This was a weekend of domination. Darn right it was. Christopher Bell in the Camping World Truck Series getting his third win this season in a dominating fashion. Led a ton of laps. He did have a spin early in the race. He rallied back, led a ton of laps. I believe he got a stage win. So yeah, Christopher Bell, third win of the season. Definitely my pick for the Camping World Truck Series Championship. And then no surprise in the Xfinity race, 12 Hours of Kentucky. Kyle Busch, win number 88. Again, started on pole, finished in first. It's just the domination factor. Sure, my favorite driver is Kyle Busch, but that Xfinity race, it was darn boring. I'm still going to give it a 1 out of 1 because there was a lot of jockeying for his position, but there are a couple things I want to touch on. One of them, when you crash on the start of the race, you know, that's just sad. Very, very sad. We're in the drive, okay? People were trying to blame it on Kyle Busch. It wasn't his fault. He went at the line, and then all these no-name drivers, they didn't have their heads screwed on tight, and they weren't going. So, yeah, truly dominant weekend, and I really didn't like it. Fullness of the stands. Now, the stands were very full for a rained-out weekend, pretty much. The Monster Energy race didn't get rained out, but the Truck Series had the 6 Hours of Kentucky, followed by the Xfinity Series of the 12 Hours of Kentucky, and surprisingly, the Monster Energy Cup Series started on time. So, for what was a pretty crappy weekend, there were a lot of fans up in the stands. Announcer mess-ups, I don't think I caught one. I'm looking at my notes right now. I don't have any one announcer screw-up written down. If you guys caught one, comment it below. I'd love to hear what I missed. So, yeah, I didn't catch any, and if you guys did, please let me know. NASCAR officials doing their job. I guess the NASCAR officials did their job. They threw the cautions at appropriate times. They actually didn't end the race on overtime. I was so surprised. And then they made the right call to call the Xfinity race and move it to Saturday with all the weather. So great job to the NASCAR officials. Add that all up, 7.5 out of 10. You guys see it. Domination ruins everything. Pretty boring race weekend, but it still gets a good score. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please share this video with your friends. Leave a like, subscribe. I'm doing a giveaway for a $100 gift card right now. Link to that video is in the description. With that, this has been the KEMMO Cup Series. I'll see you guys in the next video.